Hello everybody, welcome back to This Week in Monstercat. This is episode 30, and I know it's been quite a while since we've had an episode of this. The short of that would just be that we're high school students and running a podcast and a YouTube channel and doing high school and getting caught up in all the other shit that happens. It's complicated, and it means that we didn't really have time for this, but we're coming back with, at the very end of Volume 2, and this is quite a quiet podcast this week. I've only got one other guest on, but it's the classic, it's Pete.
Yes.
Mr. Pete, he's here, he's with us.
As always.
And so, we thought that, the best time for us to hop back into talking about the albums, talking about things would be just as Monstercat Uncaged Volume 2 is coming to an end, and we can sort of give our summarizing thoughts on the album, do a little ranking, go through talking about, heaps of stuff, and then have a good time. So, so I think we might just kick off. Who does it matter who does the ranking first?
No, it really doesn't. It does not matter at all.
I reckon Pete can start. And so we're going to be going from number 30, the worst track
31.
that Pete thinks is the worst track.
31.
31.
Yeah, there's the Uncaged collab. There's 31 tracks. The one with Grant and Evo Conroe, that makes it the 31st.
Yeah. Alright, well...
Is that throwing yours off a little bit?
No, I'm fine. So, we're going to start with Pete. We're going to go from track 31, which will be his least favourite song on the album, all the way up to track number 1. And it won't take too long this week, just because there's two of us. It'll be chill. We can just sit down, have a little conversation about music, have a good time. And so, Pete, why don't you kick us off with what is your number 31?
I can do that. As much as my number 31, quality-wise, production value-wise, all that thing, it's not that bad. But on a matter of principle, there was nothing else that I could have other than Superhuman by Slander. There was nothing else I could put there. It's just a representation of everything that has made Future Bass so much worse than it used to be. Because when Future Bass was first a thing, when Grant and World and all that were first popping up, I loved Future Bass, and it still can be done really well. Artists like Sanholo, Drolo, Grant, most of the time, do it really, really well. But this is just an embodiment of everything I don't like about the genre, and the fact that Monstercat accepts things like this is just a little sad. So there was nothing else I could put there. Number 30, I don't think it'll be much of a surprise either. It's Over the Edge by Keizo and Gamma, which is just like... I don't have anything to say on it apart from it's just sad that it exists.
It's an abomination to music.
Especially considering who it's by. Like... I'm not the biggest fan of Keizo. Gamma's done some cool stuff. It's not how much I like those artists, it's what those artists normally do. It just seems so... Yeah. Where did they get this idea from? These mostly hardcore producers thought, let's make a deep house song with annoying vocal chops. I just don't know where the idea came from, and...
Well, they got the idea to follow, generic industry trends.
Yep.
And that's what this song does, yeah. And, yeah, no, it's terrible. It is. Over the Edge is awful. Number
29 and 28, I've combined into one thing. I put them on the exact plane. Completely out of a matter of principle, it's Close and Circus by Conroe. Like, one is not better than the other, and that's the problem. All these songs, and I'd say the whole EP in general, is just plagued by, once again... just being the stuff that I don't like about Future Bass. And it's even worse when it's Conroe, because he has potential and has done some really good things in the past, but he's just recently been spiraling into mediocrity. And as we'll hear about later, he has even recently done some really good stuff, but 4 out of the 5 tracks from the EP he released recently are just, once again, the embodiment of what makes Future Bass such a mediocre.
There were 5 tracks? I thought there were 4.
There's 5 on that EP.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's Close, there's Remedy, there's Lay Low, there's Circus, and there's one that I can't remember the name of. But,
right.
Number 27, I feel like these next two are another two that I very much put on the same plane. That being Extraordinary and I Hear You. I'd put them pretty much on the same plane as well. They're artists that I think can both do very good things. Pegboard Nerds obviously have done some amazing tracks, and Vice Tone, while not being as good at their best, have still made some really good stuff. I like what was it called?
Yeah.
Heartbeat quite a lot, and the one they did on 20. What was it called?
Just Wait for It?
No, what you
Instead of
waiting?
Waiting for
what
You.
what
What
you're
we
waiting
waiting
for, or something like that. Not the
Too many songs on Monstercat that have waiting and waiting.
not the Chris Ramos one, because that's
No.
probably
That's
the worst song.
Worse
on
than any song on this
Monstercat.
album.
Yeah, for sure. But it's just that we were talking about boring future bass before. This is boring house style music. Number 25. I'd say all of those last ones are like, I do not like any of them even slightly, and I have seen nothing good in them. But this is where it starts to be a bit more mediocre, but you know, I can understand why people would like these ones a little more. Number 25 being Alien Cookies by Dirty Audio. I personally don't like it at all, but I see why someone would like it. Like, it's got interesting sound design, and if you like like the sounds used, then you would like the song. It's just I don't like the sounds used, so I don't hate
it's
it.
totally.
But...
The song's entirely just the song is just the sounds in the drop, and if you like the sounds, you're gonna like it. If you don't, there's nothing else for it.
Exactly.
But at least the song has got more creativity than like all the other songs we've talked about so far.
Yeah. Number 24 is Till I Make It, which is another song that I don't like that much at all, but I can't hate it. There's just something about it that, like, as much as the album art is the least fitting thing for it on planet Earth, I can't hate it. I see what it's going for, I just don't think it lands it as well as...
Yeah, the song just sort of falls a bit flat. Like, it never sort of... Like, I can tell he was going for something kind of interesting, like a sort of... Not happy hardcore, but like a sort of more uplifting hardcore style, but it's still a sort of unique way. But the production just sort of was a bit plain and a bit boring, and there wasn't that much oomph to anything.
Definitely.
I think, which sort of held it back.
Yeah. Number 23 is Love Back On by Summer Was Fun, which, looking at it now, I'd probably put couple spaces back. I have literally nothing to say about it. It's Summer Was Fun, future bass with lady vocals. Yeah.
It's like, I mean, there's quite a bit of like ultra generic future bass on this album, and this is like
it's the
probably
least
one of
hateable.
the more passable ones.
Yeah.
It's not good by any means, like, at all.
No.
But it's meh, you know.
Number...
Like, yeah. No, I didn't have anything to say in particular.
Number 22 is Feel It by Stonebank, which... It's exactly the same thing as Alien Cookies. It's like, I would say the exact same thing.
Yeah,
it's completely
definitely.
sounds. And if you don't like the sounds, you don't like the song. And I appreciate the sounds in this one more than I do with Alien Cookies, which is why it sits high. I still don't enjoy listening to them, but I appreciate them a bit more. So that's why it's a bit higher. But it's still, I get little enjoyment out of this song.
Yeah. Yeah, this seems like... This track does seem like Stonebank's trying to do interesting things with sound design and trying to make a cool sort of growly, wet, trap, hard song. But it also feels like... There's something to me that the song just feels like Stonebank normally has a bit more of just like something to a song, so this song doesn't quite have. It doesn't quite have the personality that I associate with some of his stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this reminds me a lot of his other trap song. What's it? No Turning Back or No Way Back Up or something? Never Looking Back.
I love that song.
And I think I might actually prefer this to that, but
Ooh,
I think I have the
no.
same issues with both songs. They're both sort of... They sort of almost fit into that one sound dubstep thing, but it's trap. But
This one
they
is
still have
more
pretty
one
interesting
sound
sound
than Never
design.
Looking Back, though. But anyway.
Yeah.
Where am I up to? Number 21 is another song that I don't like, but I can't hate, which is Contemplate by Grabbits and Savoy. Like, I want to like it a lot. Like, especially listening to that drop, I really like the feel, but it's just... missing something. It just feels empty.
Yeah.
And if it had
Definitely.
that something, I reckon it could be a really good track. But it just feels a little flat and empty. So it comes out.
Like Savoy, I reckon. Like when I heard Savoy and Grabbits, they're both being artists that have like strong links to rock music. I was thinking, that we'd be getting a really interesting sort of experimental rock thing, like because off Monstercat, Savoy has done a lot of rock stuff, and they've been making music for way longer than they've been making EDM. And Grabbits, everyone knows he's got his Things Change LP and all that stuff, and so I was expecting something really cool like that, but this was more of like a indie dance synth pop sort of thing.
Not done terribly, but not
like
good.
songs like that can be amazing, right? Forever by Rogue, incredible, but this is just it just same with similar to Till I Make It. It just doesn't really have much oomph or really hit anything.
I agree. Number 20 for me is Without You by Grant and Evo and Conroe. Once again, it's far from terrible, especially like sound design wise. I can really appreciate what's going on, but I can't hear any an Evo in it. That's one thing I'll say. I don't listen to that track and be like, that's an Evo. It sounds...
I can hear an Evo in the vocals.
It sounds... Yeah, true. It sounds like 75% Grant, but then the other 25% is what stops it from being something really special. Not to say that it's necessarily the other artist's fault. I'm not trying to say... Because, I wasn't there to see how it happened. You can never know. But I just feel like everything that's not Grant, or... It feels almost like a toned-down version of Grant. It feels like that's what the problem is. Because when Grant fully commits to what he does, it's wonderful and like some of my favourite EDM music out there. But I feel like the ones where he half-bakes it, when it really falls flat, that's what I feel like the problem with Weapon.
What was it called?
Weapon,
Warrior? Yeah, Weapon, that's it.
Yeah, Weapon definitely fell flat with that. And I feel like this kind of has
that
the
was
same
literally
problem.
everything on that album.
Yeah.
Everything on the Rocket League.
Half-baked,
I mean, we didn't address... Yeah, we didn't talk about the Rocket League album much because, because we weren't doing the podcast when this was out. But we might actually talk about it briefly later on in the podcast, just because it is interesting to look at.
So where was I? Number 19 is Nova by Remedies B, which is, I would say, like easily one of his worst D&B tracks, but it's not terrible. It's like this and what was the one that everyone hated, but I actually think is okay on 030.
Neon Rainbow?
No. That was 27. That was a while ago. It was... what's it called?
Virtuality?
No, because there was another one. It's so forgettable that we've literally forgotten about it. I can't remember what it was called. It was one of the first... It was in the first week of 030. We talked about it. And I'm looking in the list now. Ready to Go, which is the one with the really mediocre vocals and not great.
Oh, that song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's shit.
It feels in the same vein as that. It just feels like it's better than that, but it feels like it's lacking in drive. Is the problem I reckon this song has, and it's a bit too smooth for me. When I listen to Remedies B, I like the nice bit of like not overwhelming bit of like glitchiness, but a nice subtle amount, and this is not that at all. It's very smooth and straight, which I'm sure some people would like, but that's just, I don't know, that's not what I listen to Remedies B for.
Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a running trend with quite a few songs on this album that they sort of just like they just don't quite reach, what they could, and they don't quite like the same issue that we had with those other two songs where they just don't have enough oomph, they don't have enough kick, and doesn't have enough power. Because this song, like, the build up and everything before the drop is really cool, and you're expecting like a fast, complex, cool Remedies B drop, and the drop happens, and it's like a bad. It's comparable to like a bad melodic dubstep drop. It's just like it's slow. The melodies just sort of drone on without much. And the second drop's better, but the additions aren't good outside of just being new. The actual additions themselves aren't that good.
It's all very
it's a bit of a nothing song for me.
And all like the main lines are like there's not really much of a melody. It's all very long note. And to bring a bit of what I learn in band and doing music and stuff like that. Something we're told, especially with our jazz music, is with a long straight note, never just do nothing with it. Either grow through it or do something to make it interesting. But never just, if you have a flat note, then it just becomes boring very quickly. And I think that's part of the problem with this song, is all of the long notes are just stay flat and don't change. And the only thing that happens is the pitch shifts between note to note. And it doesn't feel like there's any impact in any of it. So I think that's how it gets that feeling that, as you said, seems to be a bit of a running theme in this album. Number 18 is a song that I want to like a lot more than I do. It's Discovery by Orbiter. I can't get behind it. It's once again, to me, it's got the same problem of, I see what it's going for, I appreciate it, but it just doesn't pull it off for me. It just feels a bit flat. Like, the sound design is very good, I can't deny it, but it just doesn't do it for me.
It's funny, because I haven't had this with many songs, but this is a song where, depending on what I'm listening to it on, so headphones, speakers, or just like shitty tinny earpods, completely changes how much I like the song. If I'm listening through good headphones or good speakers, this song it's a fucking banger. It has, like, the bass hits so hard and it's so awesome. But the thing is, all the bass in the song is really low, and so if you're listening to it through just average or sort of shitty headphones or speakers, it has this issue where everything just sort of, it doesn't feel like it has the oomph to back it up.
Yeah.
And which is, I'm not sure if that's a production issue or something.
I noticed you feel the same way about We Do as well, in the same EP.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that might be a production issue, or it might be a purposeful thing, but when it's coming through the right stuff, it sounds so awesome. Like, it sounds so powerful, but a lot of the time it just sort of falls flat, which is, you know, the issue that I think you're sort of talking about.
Yeah. But, number 17 is Got Your Love by Dirtyphonics and Riot. It feels like your quintessential bro step done pretty, like, okay. Like, I don't hear this and I don't go, this is terrible, get it off my ears. I hear it and I'm just like, yeah, it's bro step. And that's pretty much it. Like, I like some of the things it does, and this is probably the first song where I would say I actually like it. I just far from love it, and I don't really have that much to say, apart from the vocals are annoying, and I don't understand why they're in that song, because it just feels out of place for a bro.
Yeah, the vocals are so pointless.
Number 16
they add
is
zero.
A song that at the start of listening to this album, I probably would have put it, like, up the back, not like Superhuman up the back, but like a lot higher than I would now, because it's starting to grow on me. It's If I Could by Tut Tut Child, which, if by another artist, I would probably like a lot more than I do. But I think what makes this hurt, and what stops this from being a really good track, is the fact that it's by Tut Tut Child, and it's like, he's been gone for about a year, and this is what he comes back with.
Yep.
It just feels a little disappointing. It's a bit frustrating, because
That's it, coming off the back of
something good, but I don't know.
Yeah, like coming off the back of friggin'.
There we go. I think we had some technical difficulties there. I don't know if we were talking
but,
on top of each other. That's it.
No, I wasn't. It's fine.
You hear what I was saying?
I could hear you. Don't worry. The thing about If I Could is it came off the back of Come to the End and Stop.
Yeah.
And so now he did a good thing by making something very different, so that we're not so that it's not necessarily something we'd be comparing to Come to the End and Stop and be like, well, it's obviously worse because it's not Come to the End and Stop. But it still sort of hurts a little bit to have something that's so un-tut-tut-shouty. Like, I said this to Pete earlier, but if this song was by friggin' Elvitha, it'd be really good, you know? But just coming from Tut Tut Child, I feel like he could have done something a lot more interesting. But looking at it objectively, just as a song, it's pretty, like, it's a good synth pop song.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there are a lot of really, like, there are times in which the vocals are really well integrated into the song, where, like, bits of the song drop off when the vocals come in and then come back in. It's, like, the song has quite a bit of punch at times, which is really nice. And, it's just, like, for a very vocal-driven synth pop song, this is never the sort of thing that I'm going to be ultra into if you guys know, what I like.
Yeah.
But for this style of music, this is like, if you compare it to other synth pop songs like in this vein, like Dangerous by Televisor, this is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Number 15 is Jump by Drollo, which is probably my least favorite of their songs that I like, but I like it. I like it a pretty decent amount. The thing is, because I was listening to it before to see how I really felt, I think the first drop is really, 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 really good, but I just can't get behind the second one. I know it's a bit creative, but it's just, I can't get behind it.
It does the New Sky thing. It does the New Sky thing where the first drop's cool and the second drop is like, he went so far to try and make it sound different that like the first 10 listens to the song, it's just so jarring and out of place. But the thing about New Sky is I hated that last drop so much for a long time. But the more I listened to it, the more I got used to it. And now that drop is what makes that song. And I'm sort of I've had that with Jump, where at first I was like, oh, that's really weird, and not in a good way. But now I really like it, and I reckon if without that, the song would still be good, but it wouldn't really stand out. And this really helps the track stand out with that sort of almost hardcore style beat that it has in the last drop, which is really interesting for future bass. And yeah, I think I like this song. You'll see later on the list. I like this song a lot more than probably anyone else, Pete or Xavier or anyone else that you might hear talk about it. But while the vocals aren't great, I feel like the vocals are integrated into the track at times really well, and the vocal chops are really nice, and the drops are different, and the drops are cool. And while the off drops, don't really do all that much, the drops themselves they're Drollo, so I'm gonna like them. Drollo's just got such a cool, awesome, like, just slightly off-pitch thing that they do really well, which I love. And
I will say though,
yeah, this song's it's not their best song, but it works well.
I will say though, speaking of them, their new EP, from what I've heard, really good. So if you haven't listened to any of the tracks from that yet, anyone listening, do it. It's really, really good.
Yeah. What's the EP called? Is it called? Because I know there's like tracks on it. There's like I know the Sunburn, and then there's a couple others, but is it a 4 or a 5 track? I'm pretty sure it's 4 track.
5 track. It's called A Moment in Time.
The album art's fucking cool.
Yeah.
And the previews they had, where they had like each little bit of the album art, was really well done. Yeah. And then they incorporated them all. This is cool. Was that on Bitbird?
Yes.
Yeah,
to listen to the entire
they got
EP,
some good shit on it.
I reckon it'll be something really good to remember. But now where am I up to? Number 14 is a song that is actually really growing on me a lot. I think it's done that thing that almost every song that has a good bit but nothing else that I like does, where there's a good bit and I listen to the song for the good bit, but as time goes on, I kind of get a bit of Stockholm syndrome with all the bits I don't like, and they really start to grow on me, and it kind of leads to me liking the whole track a lot more. And this track is Get It All by Mern and Popeska, which is, as of recently,
I'm surprised you like
I really, really like it. Like, especially because it is very vocal chop driven, but they don't feel obnoxious or like super upbeat. They feel like they're on the verge of doing it, but I think it's just subtle enough to be okay. If it was much more...
that's the interesting thing that Mern is sort of bringing to the Monstercat future bass scene that I've noticed is he uses happy and generic future bass samples, but he uses them in a way that isn't, just the generic happy. It's got a bit, more of a, a bit more of an emotional vibe to it, which I really like, because I from a bass sound design standpoint, I like the way that generic future bass sounds. I've just heard it so many times, and when someone can put a good twist on it, like they did with especially the first Mern song, which I still fucking love, I can really like it. And this song, I don't care about the drops that much, but the guitar, that's a whole different story. The guitar at the end, the guitar solo, the last drop is really, really good,
Yeah.
and I assume that's what you like the most of the song too, Pete.
But then, in saying that, liking that has made me like even the drops and the rest of the track a lot more, to the point
Yeah,
where
I agree.
it's climbing up the rank. Like, in a week, if we like did a re-ranking in a week for whatever reason, which we won't do, it would be like top 10 probably, because I really, really like this song. Number...
And I'll just quickly... The vocals, while not amazing, they sort of remind me of Coven. They work, and they're good enough. And, you know, I don't hate them, which is nice.
Number 13 is Rapture by Kuro, which is a song that makes me feel nothing, but it's still really good. I still really like what it does. A song has never made me feel much less than this does, but the sound design carries it from being bland and mediocre to being pretty good. Honestly, looking at it now, I'd probably put it behind Get It All and Jump, and if I could, not as an insult to this track, but just because those tracks have been growing on me a lot more, and this track's just kind of been on a flat plane. I felt the same way about it since it came out. Like, it's really good, or it's pretty good, but it will never be much more than that. And...
yeah. It's just... Rapture, I mean, the sound design is pretty interesting, but the drops are just too repetitive. There's just like... It's just that one fast... The first drop's just like that one fast thing repeated for 4 bars, and then it drops the pitch, and then repeats that for 4 bars, and then it raises it again, and then does that for 4 bars. And it sounds cool, and it's fast, and it flows really well, but it's just too repetitive. And then the second drop just... I know you like the second drop, Pete, but for me, the second drop just slows it down and makes it more boring, and I don't really care for the beat or the style. Like, I rarely... Like, this song would have worked way better in the style that Possession was, which was sort of Mumbai.
Yeah.
I feel like that... Well, the hardcore gives us a sort of interesting... But I feel like if you combine the beat being as repetitive as it is with the main lead being as repetitive as it is, and there isn't that much surrounding it, the song can get really... You know, it can get really boring after a while. But the vocals are pretty cool. Yeah. The deep rap, the deep Kuro-y vocals are cool.
So number 12 is Fragments by Droptech, which is, you know, I'm so glad to see Droptech back on Monstercat. And he's done my favourite kind of thing. Much like the Monument EP by Stonebank, it's just, here's a bunch of tracks. Enjoy. There's none of this, here's the pre-order track, and then wait for a while, and then, oh look, here's the actual album, but like half of it's already been released. This was just, this is coming, here it is. And I really like that. It's 4 tracks that all separate themselves from one another in some way, and they're all, at minimum, really good. I think this is the weakest, but in saying that, it's still really, really good. So, if anyone hasn't gone and listened to the full Fragments EP yet, do it. Because it's
it's really good.
It's just everything that I like about... It feels like a lot of it fills that perfect 2014 level of heavy that I'm so fond of. And... yeah,
it's... Well, Fragments isn't the best song on the EP, and I don't even like it all that much. The rest of the EP is still amazing, and like I can't remember the names of any of the songs, but there's a song that sounds like Culprit, there's a song that sounds like Muzzy, and there's another one which is like really cool sound design, and all 3 of them just have, and even this one have really inventive and cool sound design, and the beats are used really well, and it's the first time that I've really been able to truly get on board with Droptech, because for a long time I've been close, hadn't been quite there. Like, all of his recent drum and bass just hasn't quite got there for me, but this pretty much all has. And even though Fragments I don't adore, I reckon all the off-drop segments are really good. The guitar in it is awesome, and the drops, while not thrilling me, are still really well produced and good.
Right, so number 11 is Possession by Kuro, which is a song that I really, really like, and I think is the closest they've come to hitting the notes of Amon, but still, like, that's a road and a place that I don't think they'll ever be able to achieve. So, it is the closest, but that's not really saying as much. I do like the separation between the drops being not necessarily in sound design, but more in rhythm and placement. I think that's a good way of keeping things different while still keeping the sound design and the song identifiable as the same song instead of completely changing something up or just copy pasting drops. I think it's a good middle ground. But I don't have too much to say on this song, even though I do really like it. It's just really, really solid, and I do like it. Not as much as I once did when it first came out, but I really like it a lot. So, top 10 time.
Yeah, hold up. What you said about possession, yeah, you got it down to a T. That's exactly how I feel. It's, like, not necessarily anything more than a song that just sounds badass and is cool, and, you know, I'm sure it would be good for a club. But, it's still really well produced, and it's really cool, and it's their best song since Amon, I reckon. And like you said, even though it's nowhere near it, it sort of does hit a few of the badass, awesome, like, you know, like sort of aero chord trap notes.
And a bit of atmosphere at the start
Amon
as
hit.
well.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And, yeah, it's a really badass track, and the differentiation between the two drops is really cool, and it's grown on me a lot.
I'm glad to hear
like
that.
A few days ago, but now I'm really into it.
Good to hear. But, top 10 territory, I would say, as much as I didn't really say it, I would say, like, everything jump upwards from then to here was good, like, ranging from pretty good to really, really good. But this top 10, I reckon, as much as there's a lot of shit on this album, my favorites, I like a lot. And the standard high highs, low lows is this album for me. The only problem is that there's a lot of lows. A lot more.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
But number 10 is What Feels Right by Doomu and Mindsight, which is a track that I haven't thought about much until trying to go back and listen to it for the ranking, but it's really, really nice. You know what it's trying to be, and it's not trying to be anything more than that, and I think it pulls it off well. It's nice and relaxing, and in the future bass bits, it gives me some Draper future bass vibes, which is something I like because, though not always doing it well, there was some things on I can't remember what EP it was. It wasn't the Glossolity one. It was the one that came after that, which was nowhere near as good, but was still really, really nice. Let me look up right now to see what it was called. Ambedo, that was the one, which was from the start of 2016. Featured a lot more future bass stuff, but done really well, and I think this song hits on a lot of those notes. And I think it's really well done.
With What Feels Right, everything that isn't the drop, I think is really well done, really well produced. Sounds great. Sounds like Doomu. Like, it's a bit more cutesy and happy than Doomu, but it still, you know, hits those nice, you know, just those nice chill atmospheres. The Doomu does really well, but the drops, they just don't really work for me. They don't really do anything. I find them pretty damn generic, and while they do use those generic sounds in a pretty good way, the main future bass lead I don't like, and the little, like, fast little, like, diddle-dun-dun melody on top of it I also really don't like for whatever reason.
Yeah. I love that shit.
I can see it's pretty well, and I gotta give this song props for incorporating vocals really well. Like, this is the way I love to see vocals incorporated, where it doesn't take over the track, it's just an element, just as any other instrumental is, the same way that Bon Voyage did it, in the same way that, you know, any good vocal chop-driven song does it. I love the way that it's done here. But, like I said, the drops just don't really do anything for me, but everything else is really good.
Ooh. Number 9, I think, is something we've talked about not agreeing on before, and is, I think, the most that our rankings will vary, because number 9 is Party Don't Stop by Gamma, Styles, and someone I don't remember, which I really, really, really like. Once again, one of those tracks which instills almost no actual emotion in me, and I'm not going to sit here and defend the vocals for a second, because I agree that they're really not...
Are you going to try and defend anything that isn't the drop?
I like the midsection. The
Like,
midsection is okay. I like it a decent amount. But the actual vocals and shit, they're not very good. But luckily, I have the ability to mostly...
Not very
them.
good would be an understatement.
I don't hate them as much as you do. I do agree they're a bit annoying and I don't like them very much. But I'm able to ignore them enough to the point where I can enjoy the rest of the song. And I enjoy the drops enough, because I really, really fucking enjoy them, enough for it to outweigh the dislike that I have for the vocals, which, if your name is Mika Huggett, might be a bit different because you dislike those vocals a lot more and don't like the drop anywhere near as much as me. So I can see why this is probably, when we get to your ranking, going to be a lot lower. But for me, I really, really like this song.
Yeah, I won't say anything now. I'll be talking about it a bit later. When I do my rankings. Yeah.
Number 8 is Too Far Away by Direct, which me and Mika have...
Fuck you. Straight up, fuck you. I'm joking.
It's top 10.
8 is the top 10 bullshit. Top 1, top 2, top 3. Put it there. Then you're good.
I would have thought that would be pretty good because top 10. I really, really like all of these songs.
Nah. Yeah.
But
yeah, you generally don't like when it comes to album rankings. I never see you rank Direct songs really high just because to you they're probably not quite the songs that, I don't know, like they're not as like memorable and massive as, you know, the ones that are coming up that I know you're gonna really talk about.
It depends on the Direct track. I feel like, once again, if we were to go back and do a re-ranking of stuff, I would put some Direct stuff from, what was the EP called that he did recently?
Amazing. Trust in me.
That is some of his best work. And if he had put almost any other...
No
Trust
doubt.
in Me, I'm not as fond of. But if you get most of the things, like Anticipation, or the one that I fucking love a lot, which I can't remember the name of. If those...
So sure?
Yeah, I think so. If those were on album, that would be like top 3 easily. It's just, with that particular situation, I don't think Trust in Me was the song that really carried that EP for me. But regardless, I still really, really like Too Far Away. And this is something me and Mika have talked about a lot. It's Direct playing it safe entirely, but there's nothing wrong with that, is how I feel about this. It's nothing new for Direct at all, but that's okay. Sometimes not everything has to be that, because that's how I felt largely about Escape by Noisestorm, which is a song that I fucking loved. It's Noisestorm not doing anything particularly new for his standards, just doing what he does really well, which I know other people disagree on, but it's the main point that counts more, that it's that same kind of nothing new, nothing special, but just done really, really solidly. And that's why I really like it, but I don't like it enough to be like wherever the hell Mika's gonna put it. So
yeah, this is to me this is like the, I'll talk about it more later, but this is like the quintessential Direct song.
I argue with that.
Like if I were to show someone who'd never heard,
definitely.
recent Direct, like if someone had never heard Direct, this would be the song I showed, because it has his like A grade modern day production value, and it has his fast liquid dubstep beats. It has his, you know, beautiful vocal chops that I know all of his collabs with Feed have finally paid off. That he's doing vocal chops like this by himself. And it has this just beautiful, somber, you know, mood, and just... This is one of those songs where the album art matches it perfectly, and
with its
just
anti-gravity raindrops.
Yes. I'll talk about the song more later. Yeah, let's move on.
Number 7 is something that I like a lot, and compared to the other counterparts from this same artist on this album, is they pale in comparison to this. It's Lay Low by Conroe, which is the first Conroe song in a while that I can say more than about, because even the rest of the other ones off that EP are just the definition of mediocrity for me. While they have cool, tiny little moments in them, like the little slowy down bits and something like Close, it's not enough to drag it out of the pool of just mediocrity that is like 95% of the song. This song, however, is something very different compared to the most of it. Honestly, probably the best thing about it is that it doesn't use that one lead that Conroe uses in all of it, in like 75% of his future-based songs. Like, I was watching John's video on the EP ranking for the Conroe EP. 3 of the songs out of 5 use the exact same lead. And, like, the same future-based lead. And it's
just the generic future-based sound. Yeah.
And it's just... I don't understand why.
this song, at first I didn't like it. I thought it was really boring, but now I quite like it, and it totally, even though the Summer Feels EP wasn't that good, this song would have been so, like, in place on that Project 46 Summer Feels EP, because this has that sort of sweet summer tropical house vibe, like chill, laying on the beach or whatever, and like, you know, songs that, like, even the album art has a sunset,
Yeah.
you know, and like this song totally works in that sense really, really well, and as much as things like the vocals at first I didn't like very much, and I thought the song was a bit too minimal. Same thing that happened with Signs by Project 46. As time's gone on, I've gone to really, really like this as a sort of like pop house track. I really like it, especially the second half of the drop when his voice turns into the main lead. That's honestly that one thing that Conroe does there with turning the voice into the lead is like the coolest thing I've ever heard him do in any song. It's so fucking cool.
And I really, really like the whole song in general carries that really the emotion and feeling of just being nice, which is something that I talk about a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's one of my...
It hits the Doomo. It hits the Doomo
Yeah,
strings.
it's because that's like one of my favorite, if not my favorite, emotion for a song to make me feel. So whenever a song pulls it off, I really, really like it. And I feel like the vocals only add to that, if you ask me. I reckon they've got the singer's got a very nice, relaxing voice. Reminds me of, if anyone, probably Albie Hobbs from the other Draper songs, which he's not as good as them, but he still goes for that same kind of vibe, and he pulls it off really well. So this is the best Conroe track in a while, especially considering the rest of the stuff that was on the EP, because that EP was... I don't know why it exists, to be honest. You could just... If you got those 3 songs with the same lead, you took all of the cool parts from all 3 and put them into one song, you might have something actually good. But when you're trying to make 3 separate tracks, all using the same lead, only having a few little cool bits, it's just all blends into one mush of generic future bass, and I'm just so disappointed that it exists, especially because we don't get as many EPs and albums as we used to nowadays. So when Conroe...
we really don't.
Conroe is one of the people doing it, and he does it this badly, it's kind of sad. But, number 6 is Nurture by Glacier, which is, once again, a really, really solid track.
Very heavy.
It's got a weird...
Way heavier than I would have expected.
Yeah, it's got this weird thing that I've talked about with Xavier specifically about quite a bit in the past, which is, in the drop, it feels like there's 2 separate things going on. There's the main Asian melody kind of thing, and then there's all the glitch hop sounds, and they sound really separate from one another, and I think that really works. It's something I've not heard much before. So if you want to, it's one of those things where you can choose what to listen to. If you want to really pay attention to the main melody, you can do that. Or if you really want to pay attention to the glitch hop stuff, you can do that. And it's so rare to see glitch hop nowadays, so when I do get to see it, it's a very, very good thing.
This song, the glitch hoppy bits remind me a lot of Chrysalis by Proto and Draper, which is a good thing to be reminded of, because that's a really good song.
Yeah.
And as much as, you know, the most predictable criticism of the song I can have, the vocals have no...
Oh, no, I agree completely. As much as a lot of the time...
Like, even as much as she's a good singer, and she sounds like Jessie Mason a lot, she sounds like a mix between Jessie Mason and Kayla, which is nice. There's, like,
they don't
no
fit the
point
theme
to
either.
being in the song.
The vocals don't fit the theme at all. Like, as much as you often feel a lot more strongly about me with the whole vocal thing, on this track, I'm with you 100%. It has no need to have
And the thing is, a lot of the times, vocals that seem out of place are there because the instrumentals couldn't carry it. But the instrumental parts of this drop could totally, of the off drops, could totally carry the song. They're so interesting and Asian-y and cool, and they're quite complex.
Yeah.
And the second build-up, I mean, it's not really a build-up, but just like when everything drops out before the second drop, and there's like just this little Asian-y, awesome. Yeah, I didn't like this song when it came out, but it's been going on me a lot. And besides the vocals being just, like, pointless, song is really well done.
Now, top 5. I absolutely love all of these songs. Number 5, I couldn't start with anything else but, Throw Hands by Reach. It is such a cool song. It is, once again, a song that makes me feel very little, but I could not care less in this song. It's just a song carried by interesting sound design. And as much as I don't love every bit of the song, for example, the first drop, I don't hate it, but I think it's a bit more... It's still good. It's just compared to some of the other bits, it's a bit not as good. But the second drop is...
The second and third drops?
The second drop is something wonderful. I probably wouldn't be as into this song at all if it wasn't for the second drop. But that second drop is just something wonderful. And the third drop too is really good.
The second drop has this thing... Yeah, the second drop has this thing where, like, the really fast vocal chops are really cool. But the best part about the fucking second drop is it has these... I don't know how to describe it, but, like, these really heavy, almost, like, really distorted piano kicks that almost sound like really deep, deep house, leads. That are just, like, bang! Like, in every so often, and sound just so cool and mean and distorted and just fucking angry, and it adds so much of it. Like, it's like one of those little things that I'm not even sure if you guys know what I'm talking about, but if you listen to, like, the thing that comes in every so often that is heavy and bassy that isn't the main lead and isn't the main bass and isn't the main vocal chops, it's really fucking cool. And it, like, as much as everything else about that drop makes it cool, that's what I think actually makes this drop a fucking, like, amazing.
For me, it's
drop.
the vocal chops that carry it. It's just so speedy
they're also
and fucking cool.
Awesome.
And Reach wasn't convinced at the start, like fucking Bollywood Stunner. Even going back to it now, I just cannot get behind it. The sound design is interesting.
Not at all. It's terrible.
And the theme, the off drops are really cool. I will stand by that. It was going for something really cool, but the drops don't carry that theme at all, and they just don't sound very good. But everything that he's done since then, and everything that he's going to do, is like the new preview that he shared that's coming out on Monstercat recently. Sounds awesome.
So good.
And
sounds so
this and the other song that I am yet to talk about that he was part of contributed to on this album are just awesome. And I'm sold on this guy by this point. He feels like cool sound design, the artist, and that's something I can appreciate.
Yeah. He gives me a bit of Slips and Slows. He gives me a bit of Kuro, and a bit of like Stonebank, and I'm really interested to see what he can do with sound design. Because I mean, this is the sort of guy that if he just puts out a generic bro step song, I'm gonna be really angry, because that would totally match sort of his bombastic heavy thing.
Not creative in the same way if he were to do something.
Not creatively, but he could totally get away with it in the eyes of Monstercat, I'm sure. But he's really
I will
great
say,
at making just weird, wacky
when I saw that this was going to be the first release of this album, I was like, coming off of Bollywood Stunner, I could not have had my expectations any lower. And it totally surpassed them by a mile. And he's got like... I reckon he's got a reverse Kuro going on. Nothing else he will do, I don't think will ever be as bad as Bollywood Stunner. He came in with a really, really bad debut, but everything else is great so far. So, honestly, I'm a fan of that. So I'm so excited to see what he does from here. Number 4 is You, Me and Gravity by Coven and Crystal Skies, which is...
Oh my god.
It is easily my favorite Coven song, I'll say that for sure. Because a lot of Coven stuff, I can't get behind it. Like, Telling Me, for example, is everything that I find boring and dislike about melodic dubstep. But this track, I don't know what it is that it does that makes me love it so much. But it just knows exactly what...
Her voice sounds...
Yeah, that helps, that helps.
For a start, she actually sounds nice.
Really, really nice in this song. And the way that the song evolves and builds from the first drop to the second could not be done better. I think if they had have either not gone as far as they did with the second drop, or not properly built up to it, and it had just felt jarring, that could have made the song nowhere near as good as it is. But everything about it just feels so intentional, so that as much as I really like the first drop, this song is made by that moment when you get to the second drop. Because it just feels so powerful. It's so powerful and so well done. It really does.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. It's Coven's best track. It's their best vocals. It's their best drops. It's their best melodic dubstep, and it's future. Like the first drop's future bass, and it's epic, and it's dark, and it's
spacey.
It's fucking. It's spacey, which is never things I associate with future bass. Well, maybe spacey a little bit, but like, it's so it's so good and so interesting, and so I'm so happy to see someone take future bass and actually do something unique with it. And it's the first time since Zest I've heard someone make a future bass song that isn't just, you know, like tied to still being a happy future bassy sort of thing. So yeah, Yumi and Gravity's and Crystal Skies. I mean, I don't know how much you heard of him, Pete, but from what I've heard, he's got some shitty melodic dubstep out there, but he's also got some really good future bass and some really good dubstep. He's really cool.
It also just came out of nowhere as well. It was just like,
I
saw that Coven was releasing a track, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm not really excited. And then I heard it, and I'm like, I actually like this a lot. And as time has gone on, that has only gone up.
Really
exactly. So I'm glad that they've done something like this. And I know that now they've set a precedent that they probably won't be able to keep up on, because what they do from here could very easily just go back to a lot of the stuff that I didn't like before. But that being said, this song existing is all I need from Coven. Their job is complete.
Well, it seems like they've shown twice that they know how to hold themselves back with the melodic dubstep and know when to use it and release it and make it really good. They've shown that here, and they showed that in Everything, which did like a very similar thing to the other, where the whole like first I don't know, the first 3 quarters of the track are like, and it's more so in Everything, but they're like really chill, really laid back, like with good vocals that carry it, and the first drops being melodic and nice, but not massive melodic dubstep drops, and the last drop just building and building and building to this massive epic conclusion that really pays off. And so yeah, this song's fucking like this is the best cover song I've ever heard, and it's one of the best melodic dubstep songs I've ever heard. Like this, it probably wouldn't be a 10 out of 10, but it's fucking close. It's really close. Right,
so number 3 is, I reckon, between you and me, is probably the one that will have consistently the highest between us, because I know you don't like my top 2 anywhere near as much as I do, but Disorder by Riot, number 3, I think is something we can all get down with, because it is...
Oh, I just realized what your top 2 are.
It's Disorder is heavy, done so well, and Riot have really shown to me, though they didn't show it anywhere near as well in Got Your Love, I reckon if anyone has a license to do bro step, it's these guys, because they bring something new to the table, partially having drops that aren't bro step, which is that breaks drop is something
I mean,
else.
and like the song is generic as fuck for the first drop, but it's still just like the production is just so nailed, and the beat is just the kick hits so hard, which is what dubstep doesn't do enough. They don't put enough side chain on the kick.
A lot of genres don't do enough.
Really,
it's supposed to be hard.
Really come in, and all of like the off drop like things with the vocals is just sort of funny and silly, and the whole like badass like the song doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's just it's really cool. And I'll let you get to the second drop, Pete.
What a genre breaks can be, and the second drop is a perfect encapsulation of everything I love about the genre. It has something that not enough breaks has, which is a powerful beat. When songs actually when break songs bother to have a beat that really feels like it has impact, that's why I like the genre. I don't listen to breaks for Tokyo Machine having this little... I listen for the really hard and powerful shit, which is what this song pulls off perfectly. And not only did they do the drop really well, they do a great job of transitioning from one tempo to the other. Yeah,
that's the thing. I think the best part of the song is the speed increase. Like when when the speed goes from dubstep and then to breaks, and the transition so the bit in between those two drops where it starts ramping up, the build up to the second drop is the best part of the song, I reckon. And I mean, I don't feel quite as strongly about the breaks bit because you know, Pete, I don't really care for breaks that much, and I know how much you love it. And I prefer the dubstep, to be honest, because I feel like the sound design is a bit more full, and not full as in the artist, but full as in like there's more going on, and and it's slower, but I feel like, especially in the second half of the first drop, the sound design is really cool. But the breaks drop, I can't deny, is fucking awesome, and it's fast, and it's badass, and it hits everything that breaks should hit. If it's, you know, because this is like, you know, this is very much generic breaks, but it's not boring as hell.
Not at all.
And it really nails it.
Like, with what you were talking about before, between the transition from one thing to another, you know it's done so well when it gets to the actual drop itself, and the point of arrival, it's not jarring at all. There is nothing about it which feels jarring, which can very easily be done with tempo changes, done not very well. Like, especially if you try to instantly go from one to the other, it doesn't work, and it's just jarring. But they've done it so well here that when you get to that point of arrival, when you get to the drop, it's just perfect. It just feels right. Like, as it goes from one to the other, it's hard to remember what the other one sounded like, because it's just done such a good job of changing it up, and it's just... Riot really do know what they're doing with sound design and music, and I really hope they can release some more tracks like this. And of all the new artists we've seen on Monstercat, I'm glad that Riot's one of the people to join the family, because they're great.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I never thought I'd be saying this about a generic bro step song, but the second build-up is, like, in contest with one of the best build-ups on the fucking label. It's so badass, and it builds so much hype. And so many, like, almost all bro step build-ups are, like, fucking terrible. They're really shit. They're just, like, yeah, they're just the do, you know, that boring-ass shit we've heard a million times in every song. And this song does it so well, and the drum roll before the drop, incredible.
So, number 2 is something I love dearly, which was for a long time my favorite on the album, which is Are We Still Young by Grant, which is I think when the song first came out, me and Mika's opinion was like identical. We were both like, that vocal chop sound is gross and disgusting. But as time has gone on, I've completely had a 180 on that. I went from feeling that way to it's grown on me so much, and I love it. And that wouldn't have happened, I will admit, if it wasn't for that second drop. That second drop is still what carries this song to absolute, like, greatness for me, and what makes it even in contest with the other of Grant's great tracks, because it just... Grant, all of the emotional bits in his songs feel completely natural. They feel like they're coming from him. They don't feel like it's him... Because, you know, a lot of the times when you listen to music and it has a certain feel that's not done well, it feels like the song is telling you, feel this way. But I feel with Grant, this is him saying how he feels, which really gives it this sense of, it's not trying to manipulate you, it's trying to communicate with you, which is, I think, is something that Grant always really pulls off well, most of the time when he really goes for it. And that second drop is a perfect encapsulation of that. And the first drop pales in comparison, but I still really, really fucking like it. I'd say it's like, it doesn't compare to my absolute favourite of Grant's stuff, but I think it still is at that level of standard. But I know Mika definitely disagrees with that. But we'll get to that when we'll talk about that later. Your ranking. And
so now, wonder what Pete's
number one. I mean, the listeners won't know because they haven't heard me.
The listeners won't know.
Heard me talk about this at all. But for me, from the moment I heard that first drop, there was nothing else it could be but that sound by Reach and Slips and Slurs, which is, I love it so dearly. The first drop especially is like, I could not ask for anything better about that. I listened to that and I'm like, it hits a lot of those same notes for me as in the way of heavy that it is, like Resistance by Aerocord and Borneo. And clearly it's not just me, because I've seen a lot of people in the community like making jokes about like how, because you know how Ericord recently said that he's not going to be doing heavy for the sake of heavy stuff anymore. It's like, he said that, and then Reach and Slips and Slurs are like, well, if you're not going to do it, we will, and they stepped in with this, and I think they have not only taken that same kind of feel, but they've bettered it. And I understand this track, I completely understand why someone would not enjoy listening to it. It's yet another song that, like something like Alien Cookies. It's about the sound design, and if you don't like the sound design, you're not gonna like this song. But luckily for me, I just could not like the sound design in this song anymore. Not only that, it's got 3 drops that are like completely different from one another. The third and the first still are like the same genre and have the same beat, but the actual sounds are different. And then the second drop, the trap drop, is like completely different from everything else. And it feels like it naturally flows between everything, and there's not a moment in this song. When I first heard the third drop, I was really disappointed by it, but that's been growing on me more and more. So as that's been growing on me, because that was like the one thing holding it back, but as that's been growing on me, there's like almost nothing bad I can say about the song. That's not to say it's without flaw, it's just to me, personally, there's nothing about it that I would wish to be changed. So, that's my ranking.
Yeah. It's alright. No, yeah, so thank you for putting that list together. It's good. I think we probably agreed more than we disagreed a lot of the time. And I was surprised to see you put songs, like Jump, as high as you did. Because that is a really cool song. I really like it. I was happy to see you say good things about it. And also I was happy to see you put the direct song up high because, But, now, before I start, ranking, I'm sorry, this is going to be quite a negative ranking list, because, as much as this album's definitely got some good songs on it, and some very good songs on it, this is, for, at least in my book, the worst album in a very long time on Monstercat. And, like, there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. I feel like the genre diversity is a bit terrible, and the sort of, this album, I feel like, and I might just be looking back with rose-tinted goggles, which I'm sure I am, but I feel like there are far less artists or songs on this particular album that are going for a more artistic sort of style of EDM, which I know that's not what Monstercat's doing anymore, but I'm so deep in Monstercat that I can't leave, and all I want is variant. All I want is, like, Monstercat used to have quite a lot of interesting artistic stuff. You got your features, you got your variants, you got your directs, you got your Karma Fields, you got your 7 Minutes Dead, but this album, it definitely has artistic and beautiful and emotional and nice songs on it, but it feels like it was going much for just cool sounding EDM songs that would be popular and would appeal to a larger demographic. And if that's what Monstercat is now, I'm gonna have to deal with that, and that's not the end of the world. But even with that being said, this song still has some really good songs in it. And so, yeah, I feel like people are gonna be able to predict the songs that I put high in this list, but I think that there are a couple that are quite low that people might not actually expect. But so at the very last song on the entire album, we have I Hear You by Vice Tone, which is my least favorite song there. And now I know everyone's going to be expecting, what about Over the Edge or Superhuman, which are probably worse songs, but I can't stand I Hear You at all. Just everything about it. The vocal chops, awful. The beat, it's nothing. It's just Vice Tone. Like, Vice Tone have done good shit in the past, but this song doesn't just do nothing, but it irritates me. The vocal chops are fucking annoying. The drop is, like, really high-pitched, and, like, the backing vocals, the backing vocal chops of, like, the hey and all that, it's gross. The I Hear You vocal chop I hate. The main lead is just, I hate it a lot. The drops, I'm pretty sure, yeah, the drops are just the same, and there is not a single thing in the song that I could equate to even remotely close to being good. I hate everything about it a lot. Moving on to number 30, my second least favorite.
What was 31?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Pete was just away. I hear you.
I'm
Vi's turn.
surprised. I
hate
don't like it that much either. But
so much.
geez.
I was just going through how, yes, it's probably a better song than Over the Edge, Superhuman, and a couple other songs on the album, but I Hear You is awful in every respect. There's not a single thing in the song that I find anything but annoying and irritating. The vocal chops I hate. The drop is just, the main lead is awful. And before I get full into the ranking, even though I did talk about that one song, I just want to say that I was saying earlier that this album doesn't really thrill me. And the issue is, this album only has 3 songs that I think are like above a 7 out of 10. Or even like above a 6 out of 10. Unfortunately, there's so many songs on this album that are like decent, good enough, not terrible, but still do like are just like 5, 6, 4 out of 10. There's so many. But yeah, so number 31 was I Hear You, and at number 30 we have Over the Edge, Keizo and Gamma featuring August. There's not much to say on this song that hasn't already been said. It's I don't want to accuse greed or anything, but this just seems like biggest target demographic, money grab of a song. Awful. It's the worst parts of Deep House. It's the worst part of poppy vocals. It's the worst part of Marshmallow style vocal chops. And this song, again, nothing good about it. Number 30, we have Superhuman by Slander. This is the worst debut of anyone that's ever been on Monstercat, I think. This might be the worst debut song. It's the most generic future-based song, maybe, on the label. The vocals are incredibly out of place, do not fit the song at all, and the drop is just, while from a like plainly objective like future-based production value perspective, it's quite well made. It's just so generic, and especially the thing I hate the most about the song is the trap hat rattles in the background are so fast and so compressed and so close to each other.
It only makes the song worse.
Because they're so close together, and there's so many of them that it almost sounds like one continuous sound, and it's like this ear grating. Yeah, it just sounds like white noise. It's terrible. So there's not much to say in Superhuman. As much as there's like a tiny bit of me that used to like generic future bass that can listen to this and be like, that's kind of cool. Looking at it from, any vaguely intelligent standpoint, the song is awful on every level. Hate it. Coming at number the 4th worst, which would be 27, right? Or are we 28 or 27? I don't know. 4th worst. We got Party Don't Stop, Darren Styles, Gamma, Dougal.
Ooh.
I wanted to put it lower, but nothing's worse than Superhuman over the hedge and over the edge and over the hedge.
Excuse me.
Over the edge and I hear you.
Over the hedge. That's blasphemy.
Hey, I love. It's a good film. It's a good film, but no, Party Don't Stop. The 4th song in a row that has not a single thing that I like, or think that is even vaguely. I mean, this song. You know what? This song's worse than Superhuman. I rearrange it. Party Don't Stop is the 3rd worst. Superhuman is the 4th worst. Party Don't Stop. I hate this song so much. It's better than Over the Hedge. It's better than I Hear You. But this still has absolutely nothing in it that I like. I can understand the sound design in the drop is kind of unique, but the vocal chops, I know Pete got on it earlier, but these are like blood lip level awful vocal chops right here. These are torturous. And then the drops, well, they're kind of interesting sound design. I hate bounce a lot. And this is like bounce mixed with hardcore, and while hardcore can be cool, this is the worst hardcore song, like outside of happy hardcore, that I've heard in quite a while. Like, I would rather listen to hardstyle. I'd rather listen to that The Only One, or whatever the hell that song was called, over this. This is just, the drop is so basic, so repetitive, nothing happens besides a kind of cool sound and hardstyle stuff with bounce stuff and awful vocal. The song's so basic, it's terrible. Coming in at, I believe, 26, we have Circus by Conroe featuring Becky Power. Another song that has nothing going for it. Vocals are shit. The production is so basic. It's just so boring and nothing. The entire song, start to finish, the song's nothing to me. The drop is going for the lay low Tropical House vibe, but this does it really badly. And I mean, the brass that comes in is kind of cool, but the trap hats, the main lead's just bad, and the vocals is really bad. And all the off drops are just incredibly basic. The songs, it's nothing. Love Back On, same story, slightly better than Circus. Drop is got more going on. The vocal chops aren't unbearable, and the vocals are better in this song, but the production's still really basic. It doesn't do anything new, and as much as the drop is like minutely enjoyable, the song's still pretty terrible overall. It's just another generic future-based song on Monstercat, which we don't have enough of, especially with that new Conroe EP. And then coming in at number 25, I think we're at, Till I Make It by Dion Timmer. While what I was saying earlier with Pete when we talked about the song, while it has some cool ideas, and while it's at least unique and has some, interesting things going on, the production is really lackluster on this song. Just everything that could be good just has like no oomph. It just doesn't do anything for me, to be honest. And while it's kind of cool, it's just like the least hardcore feeling hardcore I've ever heard, and it just, while it's for Dion Timmer standards, it's probably alright. It's another song that really does nothing for me. Speaking of doing nothing, Nova, Remedies B, coming at number 24. We talked about this with Pete. The off drops are quite well done. Like, they sound like they're building into a good, fast, complex Remedies B song, and then the drop happens, and it's just nothing. It's terrible. The lead is so slow and takes so long, and the beat is generic and boring, and the off drops, while okay, the drops are just, even though the second drop's a bit more complex, it's still really bad, and this song, it's like a 3 out of 10. It's still not very good. Contemplate is probably quite a step above everything I've talked about so far. We got it at number 23. It's passable. It's probably Gravitz's worst performance in quite a while. He's okay, which Gravitz has got to be better than okay. He's always really good, and this song just doesn't do that much. The synth pop style, like I said with Pete, could be cool, but it just isn't well done here, to be honest. It's like I've said about almost every song so far, it's just flat and has no oomph, has no kick, it doesn't do anything. Coming in number 22, 23, 22, somewhere around there, we've got Extraordinary by Pegboard Nerds, which is like a deep house song with bad vocals and a decent drop, I guess. Like, the drop has energy and it has oomph, which is something that the other songs have been missing, which I like. And while this song isn't anything more than just a sort of basic, sound cool song, the vocals let it down, and the drop is nothing more than just decent, I guess. Coming in number 21, we have Alien Cookies by Dirty Audio. And I kind of like this song at times. It's not particularly well made or that, but the sound design is kind of interesting and kind of unique, and the sort of, I like the trap stuff it has going on, but the song's still just like, it's such a bro song, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's not something that really appeals to me that much. And this song, it seems to be his thing, and this song is like smack bang in the middle of 5 out of 10. And while I don't hate it, and I can listen to it and be like, that sounds cool, it still doesn't do much. Speaking of not doing much, Rapture by Kuro, I already talked about this quite a lot. The drop's just too repetitive. While the vocals are cool and stuff, and the off drops is passable, the drop just does one thing, and it does it well and sounds cool, but then it does that for like, 8, 10, 12 bars and gets really boring. And then the second drop is just a worse version of the first drop in my mind. I mean, it's cool and it's good that it's different, but it's still just a worse version of the first drop. Moving up to, I think, number 20, maybe number 19. I'm really bad at counting. We've got Feel It by Stonebank, which, from a sound design perspective, same with Alien Cookies. Cool sound design. And it's good to see a song that's more than 3 minutes on this album, because that's rare, it would seem. There's like 5 or 6 songs that are more than 3 minutes 40, 3 minutes 30. And this song's 5 minutes, which isn't something you'd expect for just like a sound design based bro step trap thing. But yeah, the sound design's well done. It reminds me of that other trap song we were talking about earlier. And while I prefer this to that one, it's still not that great. And the vocal chops and the future bass parts, I really don't care for. But the main drops are cool sounding, and I can enjoy them in a sort of like slips and slurs malicious style way. Alright, coming in at number, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say 18, we have Close by Conroe, which is way higher than it has any right to be. I know this would surprise you, Pete, but as generic and 100% terrible, this song is terrible. But there's just something about it that I find slightly charming.
I mean,
and slightly enjoyable.
I get where you're coming from. I had to put those two together on a matter of
generic.
Matter of principle. I had to put both the Conroe songs together, but I get where you're coming from. Like, I don't even hate the vocals of this song that much, to be entirely honest.
I don't care for the vocals. I just find the drop, as much as it is like actually as generic as Future Bass can get. Just sort of like the way that the pace sort of bends around and some bits get sped up a little bit, some bits get slowed down a little bit, I find kind of cool. And the vocal chops that get layered over the drop, pretty good. But this song, as much as I can enjoy it, it's still so generic, uninventive. The drops are the same. It's, it's another 5 out of 10.
That slowing down thing is like, before what I was talking about, one of those little cool things that the song does to almost make itself interesting. But I think if you got all those little bits from all of them and put it into one song...
If it had done something like The Saint did, where it was generic sound, but done in a really cool, interesting way, that could be cool. Is that the right song,
that's
The Saint?
The one that's a bit more wall of sound than any of the others.
Isn't the Saint the glitchy one with like the clocks and stuff? Yeah, that one, like, it takes a generic Future Bass song but messes the pace of it up in a cool way. And this song, if it had committed to that more, could have been higher on the list. But as it stands, it's like slightly enjoyable, but still just a 5 out of 10. Its production is so bleh. And then coming above there is probably a slight step up on quality. This probably fits more into the 6 out of 10 margin. We've got Your Love by Dirtyphonics and Riot. As much as, like we said earlier, the vocals in this song have absolutely no reason to be there, and they sound bad. They remind me of, what's that Pegboard Nerds? They remind me of Heartbit. Don't like at all. The drops are well-produced dubstep, I guess.
Yeah, you can't fault the production.
The drops don't start off all that good.
It's very well made.
It's just... It's bro step. It's the most broy that bro step gets, and it's the drop. The good thing about the song is the drop changes a lot, right? You have it starting off ultra generic bro step, but then it gets faster, and the main lead sort of gets messed up a little bit, and then it has this almost muzzy sounding drum and bass lead out of the first drop, which is cool, and then the second drop, which is the second drop the same?
No. It's like
similar. It's like slightly higher pitch.
Slightly different sound.
Yeah. The second drops. Yeah. So off drop song does nothing.
I really like the build up,
but the drops themselves.
A little bit before the build up, where for like a second it gets really
they're alright.
Weird and kicky, and it's really cool. But anyway.
Yeah. The build ups are pretty good, but the thing that carries the song is the drops having lots of different bits going on in them. And then above there at number...
This is why I put numbers on my list. So that I don't have to remember them.
Probably more like 16. We have If I Could, featuring Beth Cole by Untitled Chapter. And we talked about this song a lot already. It's a good synth pop song that's let down by being by someone who can make music infinitely better than this. But it's got a good implementation of the vocals. The way the vocals come in, with like that little drum roll and that cheesy sort of synth thing, is nice. And the song has lots of cool little bells and whistles that I enjoy. And while the drop doesn't really do all that much for me, the off-drop segments are nice and cool and interesting. Now, right above there at number 16, I don't know, did I just say 16? Probably. We have, alright, number 15.
We're going to get
15,
to like the end of your list. You're going to be
on.
like, at number 3, and then it'll be your favourite song. You're going to, you've
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna do a quick count. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I was right. Right. At number 15, we have "What Feels Right" by The Mindsight and Dumu. It's off drop, like I said, really, really good. Drops just don't quite do it for me. I don't like the little bit melody that pops in, and the main future bass lead is generic and not very good. And it's like quite ear grating in a way. But all the off drop segments do the Doomu thing, are really nice, and the vocals are amazingly implemented. I love that. Alright, number 14, we have "Get It All" by Mern, Popeska, Emily Hendricks.
14? That's exactly
Yeah,
where
14.
I had it.
Ah, yeah. So yeah, this song still probably sits somewhere around the 6 out of 10 mark, because the first two drops are so... Well, I guess they sound cool. They sound good. They're generic, and they're nothing that new. And tonally, this is good. This is interesting and new for a future-based song. But the samples themselves still aren't... He isn't pushing it very much, and this is quite a safe song. And I still... Every time I listen to this, I can't get "Alone" by Marshmallow out of my head, because the vocal chops said that same sort of thing, which is not a good thing to be thinking about. Even though I don't hate "Alone," just what that song represents, I despise. But like Pete said, and like Guy said earlier, guitar solo at the end makes the song... That last minute of the song is amazing. I love it. But the rest of the song totally drags it down in my mind. Alright, and then just above that, at number 13, we have "Fragments" by Droptech, which, worst of the EP, still a pretty solid song. I like this sort of interesting, more melodic twist on Droptech's style, where the main drop doesn't really have any basses in it. It's pretty much just melodies and beats, which is interesting, and not melodies and beats in the same way that, Faint does drum step in D&B. It's in a much more, interesting and cool way. And so, yeah, the sound design in the song is interesting, but it just doesn't quite carry. It just doesn't quite sound that great for me. But it's definitely a well-produced song, and it's great to see Droptech doing something a bit more unique with drum step, drum and bass, and that sort of sound. Now, just above there at number 13, we have "Possession" by Kuro, which is, as I said earlier, a song that I've been getting quite into, quite a lot into. And this is probably when we're moving up into, like, the 7 out of 10 zone, which still isn't, like, songs that are, like, amazing, but these are songs that are, like, these ones that I can feel good about enjoying without there being any major flaws that totally pull them down, like pretty much all the other songs I've talked about. Maybe excluding "Fragments," which has, its major flaw is just that it doesn't really work for me that well. Yeah, we have at number 13, "Possession" by Kuro. Me and Pete talked about quite a bit earlier. It's just, the Moomba stuff it does is really good, and the sound design is really nice, and the atmosphere it sets in the intro is the best they've done since Amon. And while it's quite repetitive, and it's obviously just sort of like a party banger for the most part, it's still, it just has enough badass sort of atmosphere to it that I can really get behind listening to this like I would, an Aero chord type song. And so, yeah, it's just an enjoyable, cool bass track, and, if that's what Kuru's going for now, that's alright, because I'm eventually going to get over the disappointment of every song they release not being Amon. And then just above there, which I might have actually rated a bit higher than I'd like to now, but we'll go with it. We have "Are We Still Young" at number 12, I think. "Are We Still Young" featuring Jesse Mason by Grant. And I still stand by this being Grant's first song that wasn't incredible. I know Pete would disagree, but I think this was the start of Grant going a little downhill, where his first 3 tracks were all incredibly unique, really cool sound design. And this song does have unique and interesting sound design, but I feel like this is Jesse Mason's worst performance. It's good. It's not bad. It's better than most vocalists, but I still think that it's not as... Like, her voice doesn't have the cool vocal effects that Wake Up and Constellations did, and she sounds just a lot more like a normal singer here. But the vocal segments are still well done, and it has that, like, cutesy little Wake Up thing with, singing about dreaming and nice little lullaby sounding things in the background. But the thing that stops the song from being way better than like being an 8 out of 10 or something is I really, really dislike the first drop a lot. I'm not sure if it's a vocal chop or a melody or a combination, but the main
Definitely
lead
a vocal
to
chop.
the first drop, I wouldn't say I hate it, but I really dislike it. I like everything surrounding that in the drop. I feel like the beat is cool, and the second half of the drop is cool with the really deep bassy things, and the bass house sounding little basses that pop in every so often are cool. But the main lead of the drop I really dislike a lot, and that takes the song down a lot for me. But thankfully, the second drop is really good, really good. It's a more generic future based sound, but it's just smoother and more emotional, and the beat carries it a bit better, and it uses a similar sound, but just without the vocal chop element of it from the first drop. And so yeah, as much as this song doesn't thrill me amazingly, I still really like it, and I think that it's another good Grant song, which can't be said about the friggin' weapon, which is not good. But then we have, coming in at number 10, I know Pete's going to be angry at me. Very angry at me. We have, no, this is number 11, I think. Well, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. No, this is number 10. We have That Sound by Reach and Slips and Slurs. And,
as I explained before, it's sound design.
The songs...
Shit. If you don't like the sounds, you're not going to like it.
My thing with this song is... The off drops are fine, they don't really do that much for me. But the first drop, it's interesting, but it's a bit... It might grow on me, but as it stands now, it's a bit much. It's a bit like, oh, geez. Which I know is what Pete really likes about it. But I don't like the incorporation of brass. And the drop is... The first drop, at least, I don't know about the others, but the first drop is just two things. It's just the beat, which is good. And it's just the main lead, which is not that good. And there's nothing else. Besides those two things. And the main lead, while interesting, while cool, while unique, it's just a bit too high pitched and a bit too exposed with there being nothing else to back it up. But the second drop, I really like. The second drop I think is really, really cool, really well done, and it definitely gives me an aero chord vibe, which I think is really well done. And the last drop sort of is a more interesting take on the first drop. It has some of those squealy sounds, but for the most part it's pitched down, and it goes really low pitch at some points, which I really like. And yeah, I think that the song sort of, in quality, it's a bit of a mountain. It starts quite low at the start, but then it peaks really high, and then it has a sort of soft decline as the song goes along. But then we have the three-way collaboration coming in at number 9, Without You by Grant and Conroe. I know, I didn't expect to have it this high either. Well, that's because even a song being this high in the on the list is still not a song that I absolutely love. Just because these are good songs and they're 7s out of 10, they still I'm probably never gonna go back and listen to almost any of the songs on this album again.
That's where we differ.
Just because I know, just because even the ones that I'm talking about now that I'm saying good things about, they haven't really affected me in any way besides that sounds kind of cool, which is fine, but isn't quite what I'm here for in music. But so onto Without You by Grant and Conroe. I'm gonna start off by saying, first time I heard this, I was like, ugh, no, thank you, this is not good. But it's been growing on me, and the thing that surprised me that's been growing on me is the vocals, which at first I was like, oh, pop lady, okay, here we go. But she's actually... There are points in the song where her voice does some really interesting stuff, where it goes higher and lower pitched, and doesn't do things quite the way you'd expect, which I really like. And my favorite bit by far of the song is the it's not a drop, but it's before the first drop. It's like the pre-drop vocal driven bit.
That's very good. I agree.
Where there's a little bit of future bass backing and there's a new beat that comes. I really like that a lot. And then that soon goes into the drop, which is it's sort of Grant doing a very vocal chop driven thing. It's quite similar actually to Are We Still Young in its sort of fast vocal chop, drivey sort of thing. But I feel like this song does it quite a bit better than Are We Still Young. And like, to me, this is just a Grant song. I mean, as much as I can see that Anivo probably influenced the choice of vocals, and Conroe probably did something to make the song more boring, I, overall, just think that this is a good Grant song. And while, again, it's not up to the standards of his first three, which are Holy Trinity of Future Bass.
Starship that much.
But,
that's my guilty thing to say, but I'm not that big into Starship.
well, I mean, there's a good reason for that. It's because you're an idiot. But overall, and like the song builds to a really nice climactic, sort of more generic future based song at the end, and I just think it's a nice, well produced, good future based song that doesn't push any boundaries, but it's just nice to listen to, which is like. Again, probably not a song I'm going to come back to, but it's a song that I can appreciate and think is good. Coming at number 8, we got Nurture by Glacier, which at first I wasn't a big fan of at all. But, like I said, vocals, no reason for them to be in the song. But everything surrounding the vocals, very, very, very well done. And the vocals aren't necessarily bad at all. Like, the singer sings well and sounds, like, inoffensive, but the incorporation of them just makes no sense, and the issue with the vocals is they just get in the way of what I'm here to listen to, which is the really cool Asian sounding backing that the off-track segments have. And then the drop, it's just a combination of, like we said, sort of a softer take on Protostar's glitch hop neuro sort of thing, like the sort of thing we heard in Chrysalis, with that really cool Asian influence, going over the top of the song. And while I think that the Asian stuff, it could have been done a bit better. I still reckon it's really, really well done and sounds really cool and gives the song a unique personality that, what other future bassy, glitch hoppy songs are there that also have like an Asian theme? The only other Asian themed songs on the label are like Waxia, Gunmetal Black, and there's Kamisama. Might be a couple others that I'm forgetting. But yeah, the song's just start to finish, excluding the vocals, just a high quality song. I feel like the backing of the vocal segments and all of the off drop little things that happen are what really makes the song for me. But the drop itself is still really nice to listen to. Now, coming in at number 7, we've got Disorder by Riot. And we talked about the song quite recently, through Pete's ranking. And so you probably know most of my opinions on the song. It's just one of the best. The first drop is just like the best produced generic bro step I've ever heard. Similar to Got Your Love, it has enough changes and things going on that it keeps it really interesting. And the beat is really well done. The kick has so much power in the song, which is what much of the bro step on Monstercat and other labels sort of forgets to go for. But of course, what really sets the song apart is the tempo change midway through. Of course, and all the little vocal, like the end is close, like endgame muzzy sounding vocal chops in the song are really cool. And like I said, the build up to the second breaks drop, the way it speeds up and changes tempo is incredible and awesome. And like this is a build up that's on par with like Fugitive. It's that good. And then the last drop, Breaks, while I don't like it quite as much as the first, is still really, really, really good and just awesome. And the song as a whole, I mean, it's a bro step song, which is not my thing most of the time, so I'm not going to be saying, oh, this is a, amazing song that's going to be in, like, my top 10 songs of all time, but it's still just a really, like, of all the bro step songs I've heard on Monstercat, this, Bamf, maybe, I'm the only one in the world who likes Spring the Madness, and, the one with Snails and Pegboard Nerds are some of the really well done bro step tracks. And I reckon this track might actually be in competition for the best produced bro step song on the label. And then at number 7, 7, we have Lay Low by Conroe, which, like I said, at first I didn't really like, but now it's just adopted. Yeah, it's just adopted the sort of Signs by Project 46 style of really nice, chilled out, poppy tropical house with vocals that probably aren't, my typical style of vocals that I really like, but they just work really well with the song. Like most songs don't have vocals that complement the instrumentals really well, like Nurture, big example. But this song actually, the vocals complement everything about the song really well and feel more just like an addition to the instrumental, not a separate part of the song. Because so often you just either listen to the vocals or you listen to the instrumental, but here they both merge really well. And the minimal production of the song, I think, really helps it just sort of hit that just really nice, like just the song's called Lay Low, and that's what it does. It's really chill and just really cool, and it's nice. And then just above there, coming in at number 5, and now we're still not at like the great songs, but we're still in the 7 out of 10 territory. But we have Jump by Drollo, which at coming in at number 5, I just really like it. The vocals don't need to be in the song. The vocals, why is there like swears in the song? I'm not against swearing. You hear me do it all the time in the podcast, but it just doesn't make sense in the song. It's meant to be like a cute, sweet, nice song, and then she's like, "Fuck work, we blah blah blah." It seems really out of place. And the vocals, she's alright. Like some of the way her voice incorporates into the song itself is good, but what I'm here for is Drollo. So what I'm here for is the wonky, off kilter, future based trap stuff, and this song does that just as well as you would expect from Drollo. It's just got a really cool take on the trap beats, really cool like trap hat stuff, really cool main lead, and the minimal sort of production helps it to just helps like the 808s and the bass in the back and the beat to really carry the song and sound great. And some of like the weird vocal chop things that happen in the midsection are really cool. But what, obviously, I said it earlier, so what really sets the song apart for me is, I know this is what made it worse for Pete, but the second drop, which is just so weird, so wonky, it does the New Sky thing where it's just like, you don't even know what you're listening to. And it's really, really cool. Really, really good. And yeah, the last drop I just love. So yeah, that's Jump. At number 4, which is the last song on the album, which I'm going to be talking about, which I don't absolutely, like, 100% think is an amazing 8 to 10 out of 10 song. We've got Discovery by Orbiter, and according to Spotify, it's by Orbiter, Stephen Walking, and 7 Minutes Dead, which is strange, but, because it's just Orbiter, which is both of them. But, this song, I described it earlier, and it's strange how the bass works with certain headphones and certain speakers, and when you're listening to it in the right conditions, it sounds amazing, but when you're not, it sounds really flat. And that's probably a production issue, because that's an issue that was with all 3 of the Orbiter songs. And but just, even if I didn't like the song, I couldn't do anything but rate it high, just because a song with sound design this weird and this unique and this creative, being on Monstercat in 2017, is something that I'm gonna have to commend. And it's got 7 Minutes Dead, so like just seeing that name there makes me like it. Because he is maybe him and Karma Fields are Monstercat's most creative artists, I say, and Feige as well. But yeah, Discovery is a really, really cool song, and as much as it doesn't quite peak over the like great that the next few songs are gonna be, it's still good. Now coming at number 3, which is probably higher than even I thought I'd put it, and I'm sure Pete won't have seen this coming unless he's through the power of subtraction and figured out it's in there. I have Throw Hands by Reach. At number 3, which I didn't think I would like. Like, I didn't think I could like just a sort of, just like a bro-y, cool sounding, just like bass track as much as I like this track. But this track is, it's probably 8 or 9 out of 10, I don't know. But it's just, everything about it is so mean and just like, it doesn't want to sound nice. It doesn't want to sound good to your ears. It doesn't care. And I find that really cool. And first drop, really, really good. Second drop, absolutely incredible. Reminds me of, is it Psycho? There's this one bit of like vocal chop stuff that goes really weird in Psycho, which reminds me of the middle drop. Yeah, and then the last drop, like I said earlier, also really awesome. Overall, me and Pete talked about it a lot, so I won't say too much. Just throw hands, amazing song. Now coming at number 2, I'm sure everyone's already figured out what my top 2 are. But coming at number 2, we have You, Me, and Gravity by Coven and Crystal Skies. I also talked about this a lot. Best Coven song, one of the best melodic dubstep songs I've ever heard. Best Coven vocals, best future bass song released on Monstercat in a long time. For best future bass drop. This is very close to a 10 out of a 10 song. There are no flaws with it. There's nothing wrong with it. I just don't quite feel that it quite hits the 10 out of 10 mark. But this song is beautiful. It's badass. It's inspirational. It's emotional, which are like things that I just love in music. And it's so good to hear. I don't know her name, but the Coven lady vocalist actually sounding really good, because she's always had the ability to. I've always known that she can have a good voice, but she just doesn't use it right. And this song is, and everything as well, is where she's really come out and shown that she can have a really beautiful and really amazing voice when she wants to. And this song, her voice is just so beautiful, especially the way it's incorporated into the drop is amazing. And so yeah, first drop, the future bass stuff it does, awesome, wonderful. It's great to hear future bass being not hyper potions. All of the vocal sections, the middle, they're beautiful, they're orchestral, the piano's great, the strings are great. Then the last drop, it's melodic dubstep, it's well produced, it's got a really good beat, it's everything I look for in Coven music, done better than Coven's ever done before, and I absolutely adore this drop so much. And then, at my number 1 spot, surprising no one, ever, ever since, before the song even came out, I knew this would be my favourite song on the album. We've got Too Far Away by Direct. For whatever reason, the name is weird. I don't find, there are so many songs I know called Far Away that when I hear Too Far Away, it's just strange to me. But, this song, when I was ranking the album earlier today, I was like, I'm not going to put Direct at number 1, like, it's just another Direct song, but I listened to it, and I just had to hear, like, 1 second of it, and I remember, this song is just so, like, the only songs even comparable on this album in quality is You, Me, and Gravity, and that song still isn't as good as this song. This song is just 100% flawless. The only flaw is it's not, it's not trying to do anything new for Direct, but like me and Pete said, that's fine. And that's actually an element of the song that I like, because I can show it to people and be like, this is Direct, this is what's great about him. It's got the liquid drum and bass, the liquid dubstep beat that Make Me Feel did so well from this recent EP. And just, this is Direct's best piano chords in a long time. Generally, I don't like his songs that are really based around the piano chords when it comes to the melodies, but they are so beautiful in this song, and just the emptiness of this song is just, words can't describe this song. The beauty that I hear. The vocal chops, they're like Feige, they're incredible. And all the little things that come in and out remind me of Anticipation, with all the little cool things that pop in and out throughout the song. And the song's not complex enough for me to talk about it for too long. It's just, it's as good as Direct's music, I imagine, can get. And it's a 10 out of 10 song, along with almost everything he's released most of, like, the last couple of years, excluding maybe Memory, the one that Remedies B remixed, whatever that was called, and One Step Forward. All of his songs have been pretty much perfect in my mind. And for those who don't know, or who are new to the podcast, as much as drum and bass is generally my favorite genre of music, this specific style of chill that Direct and Enzala and a couple of artists do is my favorite music ever, hands down. And I'll stop now. This song's just beautiful, amazing. But yeah, so that's the ranking of all the songs on the album. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that wasn't too long.
We've been going for a fucking while.
Yeah. But so that means, what are we up to now? We can quickly, I mean, we were going to touch on the Rocket League album. I think all there is to say on that is that besides 1 or 2 tracks, they were all just the artists
Half-baked.
didn't try.
Everything.
Half-baked. The worst, the most prominent example of that in my mind is the Rogue song. It is Rogue's 10%. You know, it's a Rogue trap song that has 10% of what makes a Rogue trap song good, and that's a trend that goes throughout 80% of the tracks on the album. And so, besides a couple of things, the album's a piece of shit. That's all I have to say about the Rocket League album.
Oh, and the World one. That's another example of half-baked.
Oh, that's so bad. But yes, take us to news. Let's get through it quick. We don't want to.
We'll go through news quickly. First of all, something that I am very excited to hear. Dion Custom has a new track that is going to be released on Bitbird, which was previewed on San Holo's Snapchat, and San Holo is someone I've been missing. So to see him seem like he's coming back recently, I'm happy with that. And Bitbird is not a bad place to be.
Wait, you mean Dion Custom? You mean Dion Custom?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's another thing another artist that I haven't seen in a little while that I'm happy to see doing new stuff. New Topi music is coming in September, which is great because I absolutely love Topi. Not sure. He just said new music coming in September. Dirtyphonics hints at a new release on Monstercat, which could be very good or could be not very good. I'm kind of pretty middling about Dirtyphonics because whatever it was called, Watch Out on the first Uncaged, I absolutely adored, but then his thing on this album with Got Your Love it was good, but you know, it wasn't anything special.
Dirtyphonics has had some pretty bad stuff off label.
Yeah. Reach has teased a new track that he's releasing on Monstercat called Nobushi, which is a trap song, which sounds really,
so good.
really, really good. It's very much going for that Asian kind of vibe, which, if it really sticks to it, it'll be some good shit, and makes me even more excited about Reach and what he's doing in the future. Televisor has released a 2-track EP called Progress Works, which all proceeds that album makes are going to go towards charity, which is pretty cool. But ever since, Tim left, I don't know.
If I were a charity, I wouldn't take Televisors.
Here's something that definitely excites a lot of people, me included. Intercom has an original song coming soon, which I would love to hear, because all of his songs have been great with vocals that don't fit pasted on top of them. As much as the vocals for both of the remixes he's done are okay, it's not the kind of thing, considering what his drops sound like. They're not the kind of thing to go with his music.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to see what he does.
Intercom is like No Taker meets AGN03, and that's wonderful.
That is a very, very, very good thing. And last piece of news, there was other things, but a lot of it was like barely related. Muzzy has a new EP in the works, which he says is going to be a new...
He has new PE, new physical education.
A new EP in the works, which is nothing, he says specifically, is nothing like his last EP. So, I do like what he's been doing between F Minor Factory, then this, and then whatever he's going to do in the future. I do like that he's been varying things up, EP by EP, and making everything sound different instead of just sticking to the same thing. But...
yeah, definitely. It's good. Alright, so what we're going to move on to now, that we've finished the news, is we're going to talk about the Non-Monstercat track of the day, which is the segment in which basically we go to a random number generator and we find a random Monstercat album from 0 all the way up to, 29? 28? 0 all the way up to 28, which are basically all the albums that we haven't talked about on the podcast. And we just find a random song and then we talk about it, we say it's good, we say it's bad, we do this. No. Yes. Well, no. What happens? What do we do? How do we do this? I forget.
I can't remember. We changed it somewhere along the line.
Yeah, no, it's that we get the album, we get a random Monstercat album, and then we basically each pick a song to talk about from the album that we find good, bad, interesting, for whatever reason. Yeah, and so that's it. And normally what we do is we go by the album that we picked last week, but this week, because it's been so long, we'll just start again, and after this, we're gonna find a random album.
I think this week we should just especially because we've been going for very long this week, we should probably just find the album we're going to talk about next week, and then just leave it at that, because this is getting quite long. So we'll figure out what next week's album we're going to discuss is. And then, alright, so 1 to 28, it is 16. Which,
Oh,
I think
good
we've
one.
already talked
Alright.
about that. So.
Yeah, but there's heaps of songs on it that we haven't, I'm sure. Alright, so yeah, next week, you can expect to hear us talking about a track that we find good, bad, or interesting from album 16. But that brings us to the last full segment of the podcast, which is the Non-Monstercat track of the day, which is basically where me and Pete and anyone else who's on the podcast suggests to you a track that isn't on Monstercat, but we think that you might like. And that we want to get feedback on because we want to know what you guys are into. And so let us know down below in the comments how you feel about the track that we're just about to tell you about. And also just tell us about all the tracks we talked about today if you want to. Give us your own rankings. We find it interesting. We'll read it. We'll reply. But yeah, so I'm going to start off by talking about a track that I found quite recently, which is weird as hell. And if you don't like music being weird and you just want to stick to your little bubble of future bass and bro stuff on Monstercat, that's fine. You can ignore this. But there's a song, and it was released like 5 or something years ago, so it's quite an old one. But it's called Fostercare by a guy called Burial. And it's from an album called 5 Years of Hyperdub, which I think is a compilation album of a label. But basically, it's on Spotify, and you'll find it down in the description. Fostercare by Burial. And it is the closest thing I could describe it to is trip-hop chill stuff. There's like an incredibly minimal song. And while it doesn't have that much going on, what it has is so weird and so cool and so creative. It is like... The sound design in the song is pretty unparalleled for how fucking cool it is. Like, if you've ever heard the band Portishead, they do trip-hop and stuff. And some of their instrumental songs fell along these lines. And I can't describe the way it sounds. It's just, if you like sort of chill, trip-hoppy sounding stuff, and you like music that is really weird and does not follow any sort of conventional trend, check this song out, because the way that vocals are used and the way that the beat and the bass all work together to make one weird as hell mash of a song is amazing and really cool. So yeah, Fostercare by the artist Burial from the album 5 Years of Hyperdub. Go check that out. It's a great track to have a, I don't know, get high to or something.
So does that make it my turn? Well,
That makes it
the
your
song that I'm going to be talking about today is something that I only discovered existed like a couple of hours ago, probably half an hour before we started the podcast, which is, considering what this artist has been making recently, is not even slightly what you would expect. It's called Free, which is by the Pegboard Nerds and Motopony, which I think it's one of those situations like Hero or like Coffins, where the vocalist didn't actually make the vocals to be on this song, but Pegboard Nerds have taken the vocals from another song and they've made an original song out of it, which is what this is. And compare it to everything Pegboard Nerds has been doing recently. And by the way, if I didn't say, the track's called Free. Compare it to everything Pegboard Nerds have been doing recently, and it's like a whole nother world away. And it's barely even EDM, but
The song-
it's so nice.
It's not.
It is.
It's a rock song, and it's, if you know Radiohead, it's a lot like Radiohead, which is a good thing, because Radiohead are fucking amazing. And this song came out really recently, August 25th, 2017, and it's by the Pegboard Nerds, but its production is so cool
So
and
nice.
interesting and well done. It's a really nice song, and if you want a sort of interesting, like, rock is a very broad term, but I guess the closest thing that we could compare this to is rock. But it's like Radiohead, or it's got a bit of a Coldplay
Yeah,
vibe
I
to
was
it, and it's
gonna-
really
from what I've
nice.
heard.
And if you want to hear something interesting that Pegboard Nerds do that that isn't, what everyone knows Pegboard Nerds are doing, check this song out, because it's really cool, and it's really beautiful.
The vocals are super nice. It's got a great instrumental to back it up. Really nice strings and very wooden sounding marimba kind of things, which I'm always into. So it's not what I would have expected to see when I saw it on the subreddit, but it is really, really nice. So that's all I gotta say.
Yeah. So I think that brings us to the end of the
does.
podcast. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Let us know down in the comments how you feel about everything we've talked today, all the songs and all that stuff. And if you want to... And oh yeah, of course, suggest us any tracks that aren't on Monstercat that you like, because I'll listen to them, and if I like them enough, I might just even suggest them.
Wow,
next
what a
week,
privilege!
so that everyone can
Mika
talk
from
about...
MCReviews
yeah, you
talked
get
about
me
the
to-
track I suggested. Oh,
All 150
Starstruck.
subscribers. Yeah, it'd be pretty crazy. But yeah, so tell us everything down below in the comments. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Pete, for coming on with us. Sorry this was such a long one. We didn't mean for it to be such a long one. But I will see you next time. And yeah, thanks. Goodbye.